When you're putting this together and at any time you go, why did they do that? Just remember it's Tamiya. And that's the only answer you should need. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're doing a review of the new Tamiya CC02. This is Tamiya's new solid axle trail truck, and it has been a pleasure to put this kit together. That's one of the great things about Tamiya. They really know how to put together a kit and build a really cool model. And in every single way, it is a Tamiya kit through and through. Some of the instructions are very strange and ask you to do bizarre things, and if you have any interest whatsoever in the actual build process, I did a 4-hour live stream where I put the truck together and fumbled through a few steps. You can laugh along with me if you like. I'll put the link right up there for you. You can check that out anytime you like. I will say though that after the 4 hours I was left with a really great looking kit, and it is a super fun truck to build. And if you've never built a Tamiya kit, I highly recommend you pick one up. Maybe even the CC02 is a great place to start. They are a blast and they are so fun, and they come with nearly everything you need. An ESC is included, a light kit is included, a motor is included. And if you have anything bad to say about Mabushi motors, let me tell you that they're some of the strongest motors on the planet. I have not killed one yet. A really great Lexan body and all the decals are included. Nice looking wheels are included. Pretty much everything you need. Rather than use the stock Tamiya ESC that was included, I did put a Reedy SC400X in there that I had sitting around, so I haven't wired up the lights either, but I just kind of wanted to not use something with a Tamiya plug, because I don't have any Tamiya plug batteries. Most of the spy shots that were posted on the internet before this truck was released did show what looked to be metal frame rails, and that's partially true. There is metal frame rails at the point of connection where the shock towers meet the chassis. The rest of the rails are plastic, and I know that even looking at them now they look metal, but I assure you they are plastic. Both solid front and rear axles can be locked or unlocked depending on your build, and you must do that as you're building it, otherwise you'll need to disassemble those axles completely to make them unlocked or locked or whatever you want to do. I set it up to be locked front and rear. I found that obviously that's sort of where our wheelhouse is, and you know, locked axles. There are dog bones in the front axle as well, so your steering is severely limited, but again, we're not looking to comp with the CC02, so this much steering, while not great overall, is still plenty to get you around on the trails. Changing pinions and a few gears within the transmission will get you a gear ratio anywhere from 11:1 all the way up to almost 30:1. And of course I went with the most extreme ratio, 30:1, just to try to get some low speed, low end out of it. And it is geared pretty high. It's meant to be a trail truck, so of course that's kind of where the sweet spot for a trail truck is. They want to have a little speed, and it definitely has that, as you will see in the running video. The 4-link suspension is a bit interesting, and when I say interesting, I mean weird. The top links are sort of standard, and then the bottom links are these more like, what do they call those things? Radius arms. They're a lot more like radius arms on the bottom. And you know, in some of the press release photos, I was like, oh, those are gonna get hung up on everything. But they actually don't. They're tucked away nicely, and it's a nice smooth transition between the axle and that radius arm. So it actually looks pretty good under there. It's not as smooth as most crawlers, but you know, that's not Tamiya's way. It is driven by a center-mounted transmission, motor up front, and quite low in the chassis. There is, of course, a front and rear output to both of those axles, and all the gears inside those axles are pot metal. Most of the gears in the transmission are plastic. What is it the Mandalorians say?
This is the way.
Very much the same thing here. That's the Tamiya way. The servo and the steering layout is pretty interesting. Tamiya does give you the option of having the servo laid perpendicular to the frame rails or horizontally to the frame rails. I've decided to mount it in the horizontal position. I've also installed Tamiya's upgraded servo saver, and there is a ton of bump steer. I mean, it's a 4-link setup, so I'm not really surprised by that. But yeah, tons of bump steer. So there is that. The shocks are plastic with metal springs. They are oil filled, and I think I put in whatever was stock with the kit. There are some hop-up tires available, which I've got here, the Rock Block tire. It's very similar looking to the stock tire, but it is a lot softer of a compound. Still no foams included, and in fact, in the manual, Tamiya doesn't even want you to glue the tires on the rims, which is really interesting. I don't know why, I'm not sure about that choice. There are some weird things in the instructions, and I go over all of them as I'm building the kit, so you can go back and explore that if you like. If you feel like upgrading those plastic drive shafts, Tamiya does make a metal drive shaft. This is, you know, pretty similar to the stuff we're used to. This was actually for the CR01, and they work on the CC02, so that's Tamiya using their aftermarket to their advantage. That's the Tamiya way. You can put a 5,000 milliamp hour battery pack in the rear of the truck. It has this really nice, cool, removable rail support here where you can slide a whole new battery pack in and just stick this thing back in here. It's a really nice, quick, fast change battery option, and I really like how they kind of built that. It's really super smart. That's the Tamiya way. The Mercedes G500 body that is included is immaculate. It is a really nicely molded body. There is a ton of depth, a ton of detail, and hundreds of stickers or decals. I spent 2 days cutting all of those stickers out and putting them on the body, heating them up so they contoured really nicely. None of them have peeled up. Kudos to me. But this body just looks fantastic. I spent a lot of time on it. I'm really quite pleased with the color choice that I made too. It's Tamiya's metallic blue. It just overall is a really nice body. They add some nice plastic pieces like this spare tire cover, the side mirrors, and also these front marker lights. The grille is also molded plastic, and there's a lot of depth in those headlights as well. They really did a nice job on this body. I know that the Mercedes G-Wagen isn't everyone's favorite, but I do think that they did a really nice job to recreate this model. It looks really good. I think if you're someone that's looking to get into this hobby, there's no better place to start than Tamiya. They offer really great looking models, and they do offer a lot of really fun builds. This CC02 is no exception, and I would highly recommend it. I think there's a ton of performance potential in this truck too, and yes, while it's not intended to be a serious rock crawler, I think with a little bit of tuning and a lot of effort, some people will be able to make this truck do some pretty amazing things. I thoroughly enjoyed building this truck, I thoroughly enjoyed running this truck, and I will thoroughly enjoy making this truck my own too. I don't think that I can, logically stay with a Lexan body. I think it's time to put a hard body on here and do something a little bit different. So if you've got any great ideas on what I should do with the CC02, post it down below. You know I love to hear from you. While driving it, I know I had a smile on my face the whole time, and I think that's the thing that we have to remember. If you're not smiling while you're doing this, you're doing it wrong. That's the Tamiya way. The Tamiya CC02 definitely has its place in making you smile. Yeah. So I think that's going to do it for the CC02 first look and review. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.